today we'd like to welcome Kyran O'Mahony to our NCBI podcast. I'm June Tinsley, Head of Comms, and together with Kevin Kelly, we are developing a series of podcasts spanning lots of different interesting topics for people to enjoy. And today is no different. We've got Kyran O'Mahony, our NCBI's Chief Technical Officer, with us talking about everything related to technology. So thanks very much, Kyran, for joining us. And without further ado, if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and when you joined NCBI and why you think technology is such an enabler.
Thanks, June. It's great to be on the podcast. As June said, I'm the Chief Technology Officer for NCBI. So I joined NCBI in May of 2019. So I'm here a little bit over a year. My background is technology. I've worked in private sector for a number of years through companies like Ryanair and Dunnes Stores, Granite McCourt, and other companies like this. So, why did I come to NCBI? Well, I've grown up myself. I'm someone with sight loss. I have maybe about 20% vision. I have congenital nystagmus, which means that I've had a visual impairment since I was born. So I found through the kind of evolution of technology that it's really just allowed me just to get on with my life and, participate in education and participate in my career. So for me, one of the reasons that, when I saw the role of Chief Technology Officer in NCBI, I really felt, given the success that I've had in my career through technology, I would hope to bring that to NCBI and really be an advocate within NCBI for how important technology is to people with sight loss in Ireland, and really, be able to have some impact in those lives. And that's the primary goal why I've joined NCBI, and it's been a great journey. We've achieved a lot in the past year.
And in terms of your own experience of technology in different companies and your own personal experience, I'm sure all that is kind of informing the vision that you have for the
Mm.
technology support that you feel NCBI should offer. So can you tell us a little bit about what you'd like NCBI to focus on in terms of the technology support?
Mm. I think that the first thing, one of the kind of we've broken our service provision in NCBI down into a number of key areas, and the one of the most important areas is technology support and technology training. And this was the one that, when I joined NCBI, I really wanted us to double down on and make sure that people knew that we're available for technology training. And if you look at every area of support that we offer in NCBI, whether it's within the children's services team, within the working age or the older adults team, every one of those services has a specific need around technology and a specific enablement given by technology. So what we do is we operate. The first step is to make sure people have an ability to get technology support for any issue that they have around technology. And that was something that I saw that was working with NCBI, and I really wanted to double down on it. So we have our nationwide technology support desk, and you can call that Monday to Friday between 9 and 5 o'clock, and that's manned by a team of technology trainers. So that number is 1850 92 30 60. And that's 1850 92 30 60. And that's one of those things, is that people with sight loss have kind of unique needs around support. So for example, something as simple as if you're trying to pair a pair of try and excuse the pun, you're trying to pair a pair of Bluetooth headphones with a computer, and a button that's on the headphones might need to be pressed to get that. Like, we're here to help on that, and we'll look up the manual and describe it to someone with sight loss. So something as simple as that, right up to something as complex as recently when Microsoft made everyone upgrade to Windows 10, we supported countless members of the sight loss community on helping them go through that journey, because not in all cases their screens might be fully accessible, or they might need some sighted support around technology. So that was really, really important. And then, as I said, secondly, beyond that, is that people use technology in their day-to-day lives, from everything from mobility to work to getting to see their friends on a Friday night to and that was the other thing that was so important to me, because it's not all about just the basic things. It's also about living your life through supporting around technology. So a key part of that service provision was making sure that we didn't just teach people how to do the basics like touch typing. We also taught people how to use smart technology to enhance their lives. We also taught people how to, maybe use a different type of technology as opposed to something that was specifically focused on the assistive end of it. For example, people use a laptop in their day to day, or they use an iPhone or an Android phone, but it's all about teaching them how to use that in as an enabler and as a key tool. So we're seeing a real push away from very, very expensive assistive technology down to people using mainstream technology as the key enabler for their lives. So that support around our help desk, but also teaching people how to do that. So, at any point, people can reach out to us in the NCBI and look for that training. And I think beyond that as well, one of the things that we've kicked off as part of the COVID-19 crisis is we really wanted to make sure that people see the message the NCBI is open for business around technology support. So we've started doing technology live events now every week. So they take place on a Tuesday at 2:30 on a Tuesday, and they will talk. So it's myself and members of the technology training team, and we do those live, and we talk about technology news. We interview people with sight loss, and they tell us about their journey on how technology is a great enabler for them. And then we interview other members of the technology areas. For example, we had the founder of Be My Eyes, a very, very popular smartphone application on, and then we do those live. And if you've got questions, you can ask the questions during the event, or you can email us for additional support. One other thing that's I think is hugely important as well, that a lot of times when people come to us and they say we have a particular training need or a particular support need, our team is here as well to advise people on what's the best type of technology for them. Because with sight loss, there's so many different types of sight loss, and there's so many different ways that a piece of technology can support them. For example, as someone with low vision, how I set up my iPhone, and my iPhone is probably the most important thing for me as a technology enabler. How I set that up is completely different to how many other people with sight loss will use their phone. So we actually offer that advice as well around, what is the best type of technology that you can utilize. And as well, if you'd like to buy that technology, we offer technology sales and after support for it as well. So that's a key. That's a key thing that we focus on the technology team. One final thing, John, I'd like to mention, just in terms of how the service that we provide for people with sight loss around technology, is we're launching technology virtual groups around the country at the moment. So we've kicked off some of them in Kerry and Cork, and that enables people who people with sight loss can come on and talk about how they use their own technology to be enabler in their lives, but also just have a conversation that's around technology. And it's not we'll sit in the call and answer questions, but it's really it's there as a mechanism for people to reach out and get ideas and support around technology, and they're really exciting. So if anyone would like to take part in one of those regional virtual technology groups, do please send us an email to labs@ncbi.ie. That's a really, really, really nice service.
Thank you, Karen, for going through all that. I think certainly the COVID-19 pandemic has reinforced how important technology is for people to stay connected and to stay in touch with all their families and family and friends. And I do
Hmm.
think the other issue that's cropped up, as you say there, that those technology support groups,
Mm.
um, because certainly having spoken to some service users, some might be more familiar with apps rather than others. So even
Mm.
just peer-to-peer learning is really, really important for people to have the space to discuss those topics.
And I think one of the things that we looked at really quickly, and what tends to be talked about more and more on those groups, is how people are using, let's say, commonplace apps like Netflix or Spotify, or even Just Eat. What are the issues that people have? Because not every app is perfectly acceptable, and we know that, and we're advocates for that here in the NCBI. But for companies to make their apps more accessible, but in a lot of cases, people have found workarounds that maybe we don't even know of yet. So it's really useful for other people with sight loss to kind of, say, oh, well, there is this issue with, I don't want to pick on Just Eat, but let's say there is this issue with Just Eat. And if you use a specific JAWS command, or you can use voiceover on an iPhone in such a way to get around that. And that's been incredibly powerful for people to just say, actually, this mightn't be the most accessible tool, but there's ways around it, and there's ways that we put in place. And or someone might say, well, actually, what, the Deliveroo app is much better from an accessibility point of view. Again, not picking on either of those companies
Yeah, just as
specifically, but
example.
just
Yeah.
as purely as an example. And that's been really useful. And it's also been great for us to see maybe there is company X that is working really well in terms of accessibility, and then we're trying to let everyone know about that. So if there is a solution that's out there, or a new feature that's out there, we try to let everyone know, either through the technology live events or through the support groups as well.
Yeah, it's a very exciting time to be involved, I think.
Hmm.
Um, however, not everybody's on that page, I think. And I suppose we all know some people who are a little hesitant to kind of embrace technology, or are a little uncertain of how technology can revolutionize their life and make daily challenges more simple. So, what would you say to someone who's hesitant about embracing technology?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. I mean, for someone like myself who's always been kind of very, very into technology, naturally, it's something that I've used in my career. But you see that not everyone is they might be starting off on a journey through their own sight loss. Maybe it's something that that has been a sudden thing, and they mightn't have used an iPhone in a certain way, or maybe it's just they're not particularly technically proficient. And what I would say to that is, you know I think for a long time people were worried that technology might break or they might do something wrong. But the reality is that there's huge support available from us here in the NCBI. We don't turn people away with sight loss, and their families as well. Like, you know what I mean? So I would always say reach out to us if it's a case that we can offer some support or assistance around just basic a how-to guide, or maybe have some quick tips for you if you're very early. And that's sometimes that's all it is. People would ring us up and say, I've just got an iPhone. Can you tell me how to make the magnifier work? And then that's it. That's a very quick touch point for us. But also, then I would say it's so important just to reach out to us, and for us to understand what you're going through, because we do that every day, and we're also in a position where we can offer you as much or as little training as you want. And a big part of that as well is that, let's say, for example, in that case where we teach someone to use a magnifier in an iPhone, it takes time to adopt that, and it takes time to practice that. So technology can be very overwhelming, but we're here for you as much as you need that technology support.
And I suppose it's that key reassuring part is so
Mm,
important, literally to hold people's hands who are a little more hesitant to
mm.
embrace it into their life. I think is so important.
I think what I'd add to that as well, which we've, excuse me, getting a bit tongue tied. What we've seen has been hugely powerful piece of technology for people with sight loss. I know I've referenced iPhones and laptops and things like that, but what's hugely powerful at the moment is Alexas and Google's, Alexa, Google Home, and Alexa Echoes, and things like that. But they're also extremely affordable pieces of technology, and the fact that they don't inherently have a screen and they're controlled by your voice, they're the perfect tool for someone with sight loss. So I think it's important to recognize as well that there is a barrier to entry with technology, and technology being quite expensive in some cases. But it's not always the case that you need the most expensive thing. It can be the case that for €40, let's say, for example, for an Alexa Dot, that you get all of those same features. You are able to ask it, hey Alexa, read me the news, or hey Alexa, or I'm purposely saying that incorrectly so I don't activate people's Alexas as they listen to this podcast. But
Wise, very wise move.
yeah, I'm on the technology live events. I say hey dingus, but I just want to give some context to that. But again, if you look at one of the most powerful things that I found through using smart technology is, as I walk into my office every morning in the NCBI, and hopefully we'll be all back working in our offices soon, is that I say, Alexa, read me the news, and I know it sounds like such a simple thing, but there you go. It's a 40-year device. It's reading the news to me. I never thought that I would read newspapers. I typically don't read a lot, of written content, because it strains my eyes. So I try and keep that to a minimum. Whereas now I'm in a point where the news is read to me every morning when I come into my office. If I need to know the time, I'll say, Alexa, what time is it? And it's just something simple like that is a huge enabler for people. It really is removing those barriers to thinking, well, I thought at one point I couldn't read the news or I couldn't keep up to date on topics. But by such a simple, smart device, now I can converse with my friends and family on the latest in politics. And if you can put up with me, you can listen.
Um, sorry, you just activated our Alexa. So you have to stop
Did I
saying
really? That's brilliant.
please stop saying that word. I keep jumping up and down to
I'll,
turn
I,
it off.
I'll switch back to Dingus then, will I? Hey,
Thank
Dingus.
you. Forgive me, but I have to say, Alexa, stop. Having chatted there about the value of Alexa and all the other Google Homes apps, what is your favorite app or piece of software?
Do you know what I think? I'd answer that slightly different. My my favorite piece of software or hardware really is my iPhone, and the iPhone for me has been such a huge enabler. One is that it's very easy to set up for someone with sight loss. So even making the text size very big. Like I use I think the second largest text size on iPhone, but also I used to carry around with me before the iPhone. I'd carry like a small magnifier, and I carry a distance telescope. So now I don't carry those anymore. I literally just use the magnifier feature that's built into the iPhone. And what's hugely empowering that for me as someone with sight loss around that is that no one knows is that I'm using the accessibility features on my iPhone to see a bus that's coming up. Previous to that, I always felt very self-conscious using a telescope. If I wanted to see the numbers in the bus, because people, inevitably will look at it because it's a little bit different. Whereas now it's a mainstream device. It's something that most people have in their pockets, whether they have an iPhone or an Android phone. And I use it as an accessibility tool, but I also use it as a phone. I use it for Instagram like everyone else, or But it is the most important tool that I carry in my pocket for sight loss. A technology tool that I carry in my pocket for sight loss. So I always tell a great story is that the biggest fear that I ever had was traveling on my own, and about 3 to 4 years ago, I traveled from my home in Dublin to New York to an apartment or to a hotel in New York completely on my own, unguided, and I used my iPhone for the entire time. Whether it was hailing a taxi, whether it was getting on the right train, whether it was in the airport being able to zoom in and see when my flight was boarding. And I actually got to the hotel and I was thinking, I can't believe I actually did that on my own. But I used one piece of technology the whole way across. No one knew that I was any different from anyone else, and I thought that was just the most empowering thing to use by just one piece of technology. So absolutely, I would think my phone is the most important sight loss tool I have.
That's really, really interesting. And I suppose it's a reminder to people that it's literally in your pocket, this
Yeah, yeah.
tool that can give you such freedom.
Hmm.
Um, and I suppose how you mentioned earlier on how people can get in touch with the NCBI labs through our helpline.
Hmm.
Is it a free service?
Yeah, so all of the technology supports and all the service provision within NCBI is free, and it typically, I mean, the main national support line operates between I think it's 8 a.m. and 8 a.m. 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Excuse me. The technology support desk operates between 9 and 5. We man that. I think the other thing I'd point out is it's not just a free service for people with sight loss. It's also a free service for their family and friends as well. So if you're supporting someone with sight loss, it's a service that's available to you as well. I think that's one thing that people don't always know about, because you know if in a lot of cases, for example, let's say you have a friend or family member who buys a new computer or buys a new iPhone, and they've asked you for sighted support. We're available to help you help them set up their device as well. So that's a really important feature of the service, just to let everyone know about.
Yeah, that's really good point because obviously many people with sight loss challenges might rely on their family or friends to activate things for them.
Hmm.
So it's a good to know that. Um, and in terms of how people can support the work of NCBI Labs, if it's a free service, obviously there's a cost to NCBI to run this free service. So if someone wishes to be involved in supporting the work of NCBI Labs, how would you suggest that they can do that?
I think there's two main areas. One is that I mentioned earlier is that technology is expensive, and we recognize that, and we have ways that you can help get more technology into our service users' hands. So we've launched a new initiative called Eyes Online. So if you'd like to donate any of your older technology to support people with sight loss, you can go to donate.ncbi.ie. And also, if you'd like to just make a once-off or a recurring donation, which greatly helps support the service, as June said there, you can go to donate.ncbi.ie, and you can support the services provided by MCBI and NCBI Labs.
Thanks, Kyran. So I suppose just to recap there, people can give a financial donation through donate.ncbi.ie, or alternatively, they can donate old laptops or technology that can be repurposed so our service users can avail of them and be able to stay connected with their family and friends and be have access to NCBI labs for
hmm
themselves.
one thing I forgot to mention on that one, June, if you don't mind me just adding in, is that all of the technology that we get in, I know people were concerned with the data that might be on them. We wipe all of the laptops completely clean. We upgrade them to the latest software that we can put on, and then in addition to that, to the person that we give that technology to, we will support them and set that up for them. So the donation is the first part of it, but we also, we tick all of the boxes along the way to make sure that the person that you have supported through that donation has gotten the right training, has gotten the right software. So that's a really important point as well. So it's a hugely powerful piece, and please do donate any. I know a lot of us have older iPhones, or they have laptops that they don't use anymore because of upgrade, but it's a hugely powerful service.
And it's a very practical way to ensure more and more people can avail of the NCBI lab service
Mhm.
and the wealth of technology at their disposal. I suppose just to conclude, Kyron, do you want to give out the NCBI Labs helpline number just one more time?
Sure. So it's a nationwide number. It's a nationwide local number. So it's 1850 92 30 60. That's 1850 92 30 60.
Excellent. And as Kyron said, that number is available and manned with Monday to Friday between 9 and 5 p.m. Happy to answer any technology queries or offer support through that helpline. So listen, Kyron, thank you very much for sharing with us your vision for NCBI Labs. And I look forward to more and more service users availing of the breadth of fabulous services on offer through your team.
Thanks, June.
Great. Thanks, William.